Hello again, everyone. Well, my absence at the weekend was because I was here with Kay from IndigoBlu in Portsmouth for a dirty weekend. Somebody said, why is it called Dirty Weekend? But if you could have seen the state of my hands, you would know why we call it a dirty weekend. I got absolutely covered. But every time we have one of these retreats, getaways, workshops, whatever you care to call them, we always have such fun. You can see my bag there. It's got something in it already because there's a pop-up shop. Oh, anyway, I thought I would just share with you what I made over the weekend. So this is the beginning. This is 2 pots of resin. It's called fast cast resin, and you mix measured proportions of A and B into a pot. You stir it and time for 1.5 minutes, and then you pour it into a silicone mold, or in this case, onto a stamp. I didn't pour that thickly enough. You can see how thin it is, and that bit didn't work. Other people's onto stamps was lovely. But here I have got a shell and a sea urchin and another shell, I think, a tiny shell and a seahorse. Okay. Oh, that was my drink at the end of the first day. I just sat down and had a little rest. So this is what those things were for. The shells there, the sea urchin. Where's the seahorse? You'll see him in a minute. But when these come out of the mould, they are white. So I painted everything with black gesso. It seals the resin and makes it with a key for the surface that you're going to decorate with paint or whatever. Made that little book. The cover was just a printed little cover, which I cut out. And then the pages are pages from an old book, which are just folded and stuck inside. Because of the theme of this, I called my book Moby Dick. Can you see? Herman Melville. 80 for my age. I fancied various frames, and this was a sort of a tryout of where I was going to put things. This is a domino that Kay did, and she did that with some, I believe, gilding flakes, and then a crystal resin over the top. But that is an actual domino. Love the fish's tail and all the bottles. Anyway, didn't quite finish up like that, because the next day I put a piece of backing paper onto the board at the bottom, and the first thing to do was to colour this frame. It's called a printer's tray, and we sort of arranged them and tried to stick them in with super thick Slap It On. And it's quite tricky to do, I have to say. And I think looking at the finished thing, which you will see in a moment, it's you know, there are little bits of glue showing, and it's glossy, so it does show. But the various trinkets, because I was doing this sea, the girl sitting next to me, Sarah, she found this that's a little lighthouse. She found a little lighthouse in her stash of goodies, her treasures. And so she said, oh, you must have this. And she had a little bulb pin that I could attach it to the pendant, which is going from, there was a tray of, well, a whole table actually, of stuff that we could pinch to put on our projects. She also gave me this little coin charm. This one was grabbed from the table of goodies. So, you know, all in all, it was such fun. And this is a bottle to make a message in the bottle. That bit there is an actual printer's, did you call them dies? Whatever they are, the sets that make the print up for pages, newspapers or whatever. And this would have been one of the trays that those kind of things would be in, alphabets or all that kind of stuff. Anyway, this is pretty much the finished article. The little lighthouse, you can see, is just swung from one side to the other. Things are not quite in the position that they were when I did a first sort of layout, because it kind of evolved as I was going along. The various items have been coloured with different luscious powders. I think the colours I used were this one, copper green, out of the blue, and mermaid's tresses or mermaid's tails, I'm not sure. Oh, a prize awaits. Come and claim your weekend surprise from Piano Keyboard. Wow, what a kind person. So this bit here, there's a cabochon over the top of a resin daisy that I made and coloured, but the glue is kind of trapped inside and it's going to take ages to clear, but hopefully it will get there. Put some little bits of music in the back, round and about, and now I'll show you my actual project. Here it is. Let's just get it. I thought that was kind of cute, the way it just kind of dangles on there. So I put a stamp on the outside of that with just VersaFine and a little bit of gilding over the corners, stamped the frame with some dyes, added a bit of washi tape, and I made a sign that said Whitby Gin, just distress it a bit and put it into our little tag holder. These two things are just pearls coloured with a marker. So all in all, I had an absolutely wonderful time. Can you see it all? That's probably better. And I think you can see from the edges here, the glue is gradually drying, so it's going to be a nice surprise, hopefully, in the middle when it's all dried out. But it was such a fun weekend, such wonderful things to do. So be on the lookout, if you're interested in having fun in this way, for IndigoBlu's weekend retreats, dirty weekends, as Kay calls them. I'm going to another one in November, but be a different project. And every time I learn something new, this is so far out of my comfort zone. Well, it was. I'm getting a bit more used to it now, but it is such fun to find these processes. Never done casting of resin before, but I made all of these, all these bits, all the bottles, all of these, this, all of that. It was just a wonderful weekend. So I hope you've had a quick, enjoyed your quick look at my project that I did. And I may be using some of the techniques on my cards in the future. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.